how to make more money with your podcast, even if you're a beginner with no email list, no social media followers, or any kind of audience coming up. Welcome back to another episode on the channel. And if you guys are new here, make sure you subscribe to get more videos like this one. Anyway, podcasting is so popular right now. It just seems to keep growing, even though there are only 600,000 podcasts out there. But one of the things that a lot of beginners think is that, how am I going to make money with a podcast if I have no audience, if I have no downloads? And there are certainly ways to make money once your podcast is rolling, once it's getting downloads, you get sponsors and a lot of other options. But let's say you're someone who has absolutely no audience, doesn't know how they're going to get their first download, doesn't have any email list. What do you do then? And the thing that a lot of people don't realize is that you don't just make money as a podcaster from downloads and listeners, but you could also make money as a podcaster through the guests. And this is a key area that once you really tap into this, it allows you to make so much more money with podcasting. And there have been podcasters who have made thousands of dollars from their shows before even launching them, just because of the business they were able to get from guests who came on the show. Now, I know the idea of getting sales for a podcast and making money like without publishing a single episode sounds a little crazy, but it's not too difficult if you break it down. So one of the things you have to get clear on is what you're going to offer. So that could be coaching, that could be training courses. Get clear on that topic and then interview people who you think would be good potential clients, customers for what you're offering. So basically, each podcast interview is not just providing value back and forth, they're turning into sales calls where you're interviewing someone for 30 to 45 minutes, and then at the end, that person may be interested in what it is you have to offer. Now, unlike a sales call, this isn't something where, at the end, you have plenty of opportunity to talk about the product or the service that you're offering. So what you want to do instead is get the guest to ask you for more information. So the way you do this is when you're doing the interview, you mention some of the things that you do. You mention that, I help people make money with their podcasts. I help people who want to be a bestseller with their book. I help people who want to launch these massively successful virtual summits. Those are some of the things that I do. And by subtly mentioning stuff like that in the conversation and saying, hey, if you want to talk to me about to see how we can work together, use the link marcguberti.com/strategy in the description below to schedule your strategy call with me. So by doing something like that during the interview where it's meant for the listener, your guest is also a listener and they are listening to you when you are making that promotion. So if you're talking with a guest who, we'll use my podcast as an example. If I'm talking to someone who wants to make money with a podcast, wants to get more downloads, wants to grow their visibility, that's going to be something that they may ask me about at the end of the episode. They may say, hey, it's interesting that you do this. Funny story, I'm actually trying to launch my very own podcast soon. Can we jump on a strategy call to see if there's some kind of relationship here? And then just like that, you are booking strategy calls with people who were guests on your show, who you were interviewing. Now they know you well because they were just talking with you for 30 to 45 minutes or however long the interview went. So they know you, and people are more likely to buy from those they know, like, and trust. So we have that factored down with a podcast by having the right guests. So when it comes to having the right guests, it's not just about who can provide the most value, because there are a lot of guests who can provide that value. It's about finding a guest who fits your avatar. So for me, if I'm focused on, launching a podcast, getting you started from no podcast to launch in 14 days or whatever, because there are a bunch of programs like that, I don't want to interview people who already have podcasts. I'd rather interview like a blogger or someone who has a YouTube channel who doesn't have a podcast yet. Similarly, since I also help people with growing their podcast and making money, I'd rather interview someone who's just getting started with their podcast and has success in other areas of their business. For instance, a best-selling author who has a big business around their book, but they're just getting into podcasting. I have no idea what to do there. So you want to interview people who they fit your ideal avatar for who your customer is. And then when you mention your strategy call, or you mention your course, or you mention your product during the episode, that's going to get their attention and have a post conversation that leads to someone scheduling a strategy call, basically taking the next action that turns them into a customer. And that's pretty much all you need to know about making money as a podcaster for a beginner. Sure, you can promote products. Sure, you can get sponsors when your show gets bigger. But I feel like if you focus on this area, this is the most lucrative way to make money with podcasting. And it's really open to anyone. All you got to do is get guests on your show who fit that ideal avatar of someone who has a problem that you can solve. So we talked about that a little bit, but that's the basic idea. Have guests on your show who you can then promote your products and services to. Now, if you are wondering, how do I make money with my podcast? How do I grow my podcast? I do have those free strategy calls down below, but you may also be interested in the Profitable Podcasting Summit, an event I put together with over 20 awesome podcasters. This is an evergreen event, so we could have 30, we could have 40, we could even have 50 speakers for the Profitable Podcasting Summit if you are viewing this video like a year later or something like that. So if you are interested in getting a free ticket to the Profitable Podcasting Summit, this is an evergreen event. This is virtual, so there's no travel. All you got to do is head over to profitablepodcastingsummit.com or just go through the link below. So anyway, if you want more videos like this, make sure you subscribe. Signing off, what I want you to do is to dream big, achieve greatness, and unlock your potential today.